Welcome back to the Spoilercast, the show where we talk about movies and we don't care about spoiling them. And it's not quite October yet, but, well, we've kind of been talking about horror movies always, so we thought we should start the official Halloween countdown a little early this year. So we're starting this episode actually talking about one of the classics. But first and foremost, my name is Tobias, and with me I have my sister and trusty co-host Rebecka.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Pick me up for some reason.
Oh, okay. Yes. We're going to talk today about one of the most famous horror movies, probably.
Yeah.
And still, you managed to not see it until today or yesterday or whenever. Yesterday. Yeah.
Well,
we're talking about Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece, The Shining, or just Shining.
No, The Shining.
The Shining. Yeah, it's The Shining. And we're gonna discuss the movie, and we're also gonna discuss something I discovered today, the fact that I've never actually seen the proper movie, but more about that later, I suppose.
So I'm not the only one who hasn't seen it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, should we do that right away, or should we talk about what we thought of the movie first?
Let's talk about what we thought of the movie.
All right. Well, first of all, we all know what the movie's about. It's Jack Nicholson, aka Jack Torrance, taking his family up to the Overlook Hotel somewhere in the Rockies, I think, right? Because they live in Colorado, so
something like that.
Yeah, to be the caretaker during the off season when the hotel is closed. And while he's up there, while they're up there, he slowly starts going insane. Or is he? That's the main premise. There's so much more that goes on in the movie. But let's start with you then, since you hadn't seen it before. How much did you know about the movie before you watched it?
Well, I knew the premise.
Sure.
As we mentioned when we talked about Ready Player One, the Patreon exclusive episode, I think. I believe.
Yeah. But let's start.
Yeah. That I've seen like scenes. I knew of the all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy thing, and I knew Here Comes Johnny or whatever.
Here's Johnny.
And Wendy, darling, light of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I knew some of it. I knew there was the little boy had like some sort of psychic ability.
Yeah.
I guess it is.
Yeah, and, that's basically what it is.
Yeah. That's about what I knew. I didn't know specifically that they were like taking care of the hotel. I thought they were just like left there, maybe.
Okay.
Because that would have added a creep factor to it.
Sure, I guess, but I mean,
but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And have you looked up anything behind the scenes or anything, or did you just watch the movie?
No, I actually just watched the movie this time.
Okay. So. Initial thoughts. What did you think of it?
Well, it's okay. It wasn't that scary.
No.
But it might be because I'm kind of, what's it called? Like dull to horror.
You're used to horror like this.
Worse horror, I guess. So.
Sure. Yeah, I mean it's not a scary movie like trying to like scare you. There's no jump. Well, I guess there's like one jump scare.
There's a couple of
when he jumps out behind the pillar and goes, "Oh!"
Yeah, sorry.
But it's definitely more of a what we call in Sweden rysare. A chiller? Maybe creepy movie. I don't know. There's a lot of.
It did give me chills.
Yes, and there's a lot of mood in the movie.
Yes,
it's very moody. It's. I know that's a word a lot of people use when they talk about John Carpenter movies, and I always say, that's just an excuse for not saying his movies are boring. But here I would say the movie is moody. It sets a mood. It sets a tone. and it does not let go of you. It's I mean, even before they arrive, it's kind of creepy.
Well, that's the music's fault,
Yes,
though.
the music. Oh, the music.
The music is very both scary and annoying.
I like I said, I hadn't seen the movie in years. I haven't, and this is one of those movies. I love it, but I haven't seen it that many times. I think I've seen it
once you've seen it, it feels like you don't really need to rewatch it that much.
Well, there are people in the world that differ with you.
Sure.
I don't know if you've heard about the documentary Room 237, where there are crackpots who have they have picked the movie apart, and there are so many like references and themes and different interpretations of what's actually going on in the movie, and the whole mystery with what is actually going on. Because
that part does need some explanation.
Yeah, so people do tend to watch it over again, but I'm this watching it now. I've probably only seen it like all the way through, maybe 4 or 5 times, and I mean I've had this DVD since. Since 14 years back, and I'd probably seen it before that even. No, maybe not. I was 16 when I was 14 years ago, 16. Yeah, so that's probably when I saw it, 2007. So I haven't seen it that many times.
No, and I started rewatching it today just to make sure I like remembered some things. And it's not really, doesn't help, at least not the first like hour and a half.
No, there's a lot of setup in the first one. Well, you said hour and a half.
Yeah, so we have to mention it now.
Yeah, should we just talk about it then?
I watched the regular version. That's 2 hours and 4 minutes ish.
Yes. And I watched the European cut, which is 1 hour and 54 minutes. So with credits.
Like missing 40 minutes.
I'm missing like half an hour. And I didn't even know about this. I mean, like, yeah, I bought this DVD 14 years ago, so I probably looked it up 14 years ago, but since then I've forgotten about it.
Didn't do anything about it.
I didn't do anything about it, because like maybe 14 years ago, I just started collecting movies, so maybe I didn't like, oh, whatever, or maybe I just didn't think of it. But when the movie was released, it was 2 hours and 46 minutes. But right after the premiere, Kubrick decided to cut out the ending coda, sort of like an epilogue. I think a coda is. I'm not sure. I think it is. For some reason, I'm not sure why. He cut that out. It was 2 minutes, and then it was 2 hours and 44 minutes, and that was the movie that premiered after the gala premiere, the red carpet premiere. That was the movie that premiered in the rest of America. 2 hours and 44 minutes. For some reason, I looked it up, but I forgot. He then decided, it was bad reviews, so he decided to cut it even shorter, down to 1 hour and 54 minutes for the worldwide release.
Okay.
And that's just the version that is being sold in Europe. I mean, if I look it up now, if I go to Sweden's like premier website for buying movies, Disc Shop, I did this, and I look up Shining. You have the regular, this version of the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And that movie is 119 minutes, but it's always a little longer when it's on Blu-ray, so 2 hours. And then they recently released a 4K Blu-ray version. Here in I don't know, or is that an imported version? No, it's a European release, and that is that's actually 2 hours and 43 minutes. Ooh. Well, I guess I'll have to buy that then. God damn it! But I mean, yeah, but that 4K Blu-ray was released. It doesn't say. It was released here in Sweden 2019. Yeah. So before 2019, unless you imported the movie, you could only see the European cut in Sweden. And I didn't know that.
YouTube had movies back then, but you know, I rented it on YouTube on the Swedish server, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I'm gonna borrow your login so I can watch that, because I'm not fucking paying for it. I already own it. I'm not paying for it. But I want to check that out, because we quickly before we started recording, we just looked over, because there's a list of what scenes have been shortened on IMDb, and there's a bunch of like setup, like they set up the whole Native American theme, which is barely mentioned in the European cut, and that's a huge part of the book.
I wouldn't call it huge in this version of the movie.
Not huge, but they mentioned the Navajo and
twice.
Yeah, and they mentioned the Indian burial ground, but a lot of people have used that as like the hotel is cursed, and that's why he's going insane, and why Grady went insane and killed his family.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's no, because the only mention of Native Americans in my version is when they're walking outside towards he's gonna show them a snowcat. Yeah. He says, or Wendy, Jack, yes, but Shelley is Wendy, right? Wendy
or Winifred.
Yeah, Wendy asked when the hotel is built, and he said, began in 1907, finished in 1909. And some say
that's when he says that
it's built on an Indian burial ground. Yeah. That's it when it comes to Indians or Native Americans.
Only other mention of Native Americans is Wendy asking about the interior design in one of the rooms, and he's like, "Well, it's all." Well, she says, "Is it all authentic?" I think she says, and he's like, "Yes, it's the Navajos and the whatever's."
Yeah, but that
Indians.
That connects. That connects with a comment that Jack makes when he first starts talking to the bartender. The first scene he talks to the bartender when he's alone in the gold room. He mentions the white man's burden, which is this thing that it is the white man's responsibility to spread knowledge throughout the rest of the world to all these unlearned heathens. Basically, it's a racist thing. And that adds to the whole thing of this being like a comment. Some people saying it's a comment on colonialism, sort of like we talked about in the Dune episode.
Well, it's probably a bit. Also,
it's probably in there, but that's not what the movie's about. But some people are like, it's all over, and then they start seeing like patterns all over. We should talk about Room 237, that documentary. They are nuts.
Might go further into this when we do the Patreon episode.
Yes, because we should say it right away. This Monday we're releasing a Patreon episode where we talk about Dr. Sleep, and probably then talk a little bit more about that stuff.
Yeah.
But there's things like that.
This movie doesn't really need a sequel, but it does need some more explanation.
Yes.
Give you that.
But I was going to say, those are the kind of things that are completely lost in the European cut. Yeah. That's why I've always wondered where they get all this Indian stuff from when I watch Room 237. Because I've seen some of the stuff they talk about in deleted scenes, but that was never in the movie. And a deleted scene is not canon. So I was like, why do they bother? All right, whatever. Just to quickly talk then also, Danny wears an Apollo 11 shirt in one scene.
Yes.
At least one scene. And from that, there's some more stuff in the movie, but specifically from that, people took it to believe that this movie is proof that Stanley Kubrick helped to fake the moon landing. He was the director. No. You know all the footage from the moon, with Buzz Aldrin and Lance Armstrong? No.
Yes.
Not Lance Armstrong. That's the cyclist.
The other Armstrong.
The other Armstrong. The guy who went to the moon.
The other Armstrong. I don't know.
All that footage that was shot of them up on the moon was actually directed by Stanley Kubrick in a studio. You've heard about that, yeah. And this is him confessing to it by having Danny have that shirt on, and there's so much.
Funny sidetrack. I just recently saw someone compare the moon boots to the footprints on the moon in that clip. It's like, are we not done with this?
No. People still believe we didn't go to the moon.
Yeah.
I can see why, but problem is we did.
We've done it now, at least.
Yeah.
If nothing else.
Yes. Anyway. Enough about that. So I just want to say, if Rebecka references to something and I'm like, what are you talking about? It's because I have missed half an hour of the movie since that was not on my goddamn DVD. So annoying. Anyway, well, okay, so you liked it.
Yeah. It's a bit odd, and I don't really understand it. Like, I understand the basics of it.
Yeah, the surface.
Details that I don't really get, and...
yeah, and...
It's very confusing at points.
Yes.
Specifically when it comes to every time Jack sees someone else after, when they're alone. Is that a figment of his imagination? Are there ghosts?
Well...
do we know that? Should I understand that? So I'm feeling kind of stupid.
Those are the things, because Stanley Kubrick, very... very private person, very seldomly did interviews. So people haven't really been able to ask him what he thought about the movie.
But it's in the book.
It's been so long since I read the book. The book is very different. The book is much more like upfront with it. Like there's like evil spirits in the hotel.
Okay. That would make sense.
Yeah, and they try to take over Jack and make him kill his family. And it's not like, oh, is he going insane or is it evil spirits? No, it is evil spirits, because even in the end, he like manages to stop himself, or like to get to overpower the spirits, and actually destroys the hotel. He like, I don't remember, he like, instead of an axe, he has a big sledgehammer, and he like smashes himself in the face with it, trying to kill himself. To stop himself from killing Danny, I'm pretty sure. It's Danny down in the boiler room. There's one scene, at least in my version, when Wendy is down in the boiler room checking some stuff. That's very important, because in the movie, the boiler is like the heart. No, in the book, the boiler room is like the heart of the hotel, and that's where everything goes down. And in the end, he smashes up the boiler room so that the hotel explodes.
Okay, yeah, that's not even in my version of the movie.
No, that's not in any version of the movies. I'm not sure about the Dr. Sleep movie, because I haven't seen that. I've only read the book, and I didn't read the whole book because it was kind of boring. Anyway, modern Stephen King, not as good as old Stephen King. That's just...
I've only read one Stephen King. So
okay, well, I've read some of the old books and the new books. He was better before. Anyway. And I'm not sure, cause what I've heard is that the Dr. Sleep book and sort of movie is more of a sequel to the movie version of The Shining.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of. Like because a lot of people just when they think of The Shining, they think of the movie instead of the book. So like he had to like kind of have that in mind when he wrote Dr. Sleep. Like some people just don't know what happened in the book, so I'll focus on what happens in the movie.
If you're gonna read the book, you probably know about the original.
Yeah, but how many have read the book?
No, but I mean Dr. Sleep book.
Oh, sure.
If you read the Dr. Sleep book, you probably either will read or have read the original Shining book.
Who knows?
That's why I never.
That's just what I've heard. Like I said, I haven't finished the book. I never even saw the movie, so I don't know. But that's just what I've heard, that it's supposed to like function as kind of a sequel to both.
Oh, we'll see.
Even though they're very different. And I gotta say, speaking quickly about the book, The Shining, the book is very good, but I prefer the movie. The movie is much more of a mystery, and the whole oppressive feeling of being locked in the hotel with them is not there in the book, because before the snowstorm, because they're up there for like almost 2 months before the snow actually shows up.
Yeah.
Or at least a month in the movie. Yeah. They leave the hotel, or at least Jack does, and he goes to like a pharmacy to pick up some drugs. He talks to
drugs or medicine.
Drugs. He goes to a drugstore.
Well, yeah.
It's like, I think something for headaches or something, which is a big thing. He has these headaches all the time. It's much more like, there's much more build-up of him slowly like losing his mind in the book.
Yeah, I can imagine, because in the film, it feels like he's hating his family as soon as he sees them after he's been at the hotel.
Yes.
Like
And
in the car ride, he just wants to drive off a cliff.
yes, he's very, very dismissive, very standoffish.
Very annoyed almost.
Yes, like, well, maybe you should have had your breakfast, Danny.
Yeah.
You're like,
Jesus, dude.
yeah.
Relax.
And that is developed a little more in the book. They do mention that that their relationship isn't the best since he hurt Danny 3 years ago. But that is developed a little more. Well, you got the doctor scene as well. They talk about it there, right?
Yes, because
mention-
in the longer version you have a scene where Danny's talking to Tony, his finger. There's a little guy in his mouth.
The little boy in his mouth, yeah.
And he just sees the famous blood coming out of the elevators thing.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up and he's in bed and there's a doctor there and they're checking him and it's just like, do you remember anything? He's like, no, I don't remember anything. And the mom and the doctor goes out to the living room and they talk and mom tells the doctor about the whole dad basically ripping the kid's arm off.
Yeah.
Well, out of socket, I guess. The shoulder's dislocated or something.
Yeah. And I mean that's we get that so late in the European version and it's like, oh, to have that information that early definitely sets more of a precedent, like, this relationship, this family is kind of it's strained.
That's like 15 minutes in.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine then getting that after he wakes up from the nightmare, saying that, oh my god, in my dream I killed you and Danny, I chopped you up little pieces.
Oh.
And then he walks in with the ripped shirt and nail marks on his throat. Yeah. And that's when he walks into the gold room and gets a drink from the bartender. That's when we find out about it in the European version. And you're like, oh. So before that, yeah, he's a little standoffish, but he seems to be like a nice guy. A little angry, but fine. But then
because he does lash out at Wendy at one point. Like the first time he sits down to write in the movie,
yes.
he goes mad.
I gotta say though, I think that's also, it becomes more ambiguous than in the European cut, which maybe that's good because I get him in that scene. To have someone walk in on you, start like making small talk when you're trying to work on something creative. Fuck off. Just fuck off.
You could handle it better.
Definitely.
You could also have chosen a better room to sit in. Like, why are you in? Like, I think it's the lobby.
No, it's the what do they call it?
Right,
the Colorado Lounge.
Yeah, but that's like just off the lobby.
Yeah, well, there's only 3 people in the hotel.
In the biggest room in the house.
Sure.
On the biggest desk in the middle of the room. Dude, you could have picked any room. You could have picked an office. You could have picked like somewhere else.
Well,
okay, yeah,
it's a nice room.
Hotel rooms are supposed to be locked, but you have the ballroom, you have other lounges, you have the dining hall probably. Like, please.
Yeah, I know, but it's a nice room. I see why you picked it.
Sure.
But yeah, if you want to be alone, pick some
boundaries before you sit down, maybe.
Yeah. But
like,
I mean,
then
we don't get that scene. So
no,
it's for the movie, but at that point,
it feels very harsh for being the first scene we see him lash out in.
But it makes sense if we know that he is kind of an aggressive guy from that scene with the doctor. I guess I missed that.
But also, Wendy does say that, well, he hasn't touched alcohol since, and we're doing so well.
Yeah, we missed that as well. They only talk about alcohol comes once again when he says, man, I would give my soul for just one glass of beer. And that's also in the gold room, the first time he talks to the bartender.
Yeah.
An hour, that's like 40 minutes in. So fucking annoying. Anyway, yeah, well, just where were we?
I don't really know. We were talking about some differences between the long and the short version, I guess.
Yeah, but going on on the surface level. Oh, sure, yeah.
Do you remember what you thought the first time you saw it? If you liked it, if you were intrigued?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. But I was in my pretentious phase, so a Stanley Kubrick, a Stanley Kubrick horror movie, perfect for me. But I haven't like gone back and like, no, this isn't good. I've always liked it since then. But I also like movies where people slowly go insane. So I like movies about sad hitmen. I like movies about stoic men with beards, and I like movies about people going insane. So this was a perfect movie for me.
Sad hitman?
Sad hitman, yes. You have
Example.
you have Leon, or the professional. He's maybe not sad, but he learns more about the world, and then he loses.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna spoil The Professional. Watch that movie. You have the movie The Matador with Pierce Brosnan, if you have seen that, and Greg Kinnear. Great movie.
Not sure if I've seen
He's
that
not
one,
sad. He's like neurotic. He's a neurotic hitman. Anyway, and you have it's
basically anything that's not run of the mill professional hitman.
Yeah, Grosse Point Blank. He's also like a hitman who's like losing faith in what he's doing because maybe you shouldn't kill people, And there's this movie with Michael Keaton that came out a few years ago before he had his renaissance. Where he is
or Birdman or whatever.
But a few years before Birdman, he did a movie called The Merry Gentleman, where he's a hitman who's about to take his life, but then he spots a woman who thinks she's also trying to take her life, so he helps her, and then finds a new lease on life. Of course, it's just something about a person whose like job is to kill people, then finding like a reason to love life, not kill, or kill but for a good reason instead of just money. I love those kind of stories.
And also people going slowly insane, which I can agree on. People going slowly insane is interesting.
Yes.
But I don't know if this one hit the notes on that.
Okay.
I feel like he goes insane kind of quick, but it's I don't know if it's Jack Nicholson's acting.
Yes, he is a little insane himself, so he's not like he's acting Kubrick's normal.
Yeah, or if it's Kubrick's directory. I don't really know.
It's a combination of both. Yes.
Yeah. Because Jack Nicholson I could only see the Joker, basically. That's all I saw.
Yes, that is, for better or worse, probably his most iconic role ever. The Joker in Batman. It's just insane. Haha. But I mean, I don't know in your version at what time, but I mean, I always see it that he has not gone full insane until he talks to Delbert Grady in the bathroom when they're wiping off the spilled drinks. Before
avocado?
Yeah, the avocado. I don't know what that is. Sorry for speaking Swedish.
I think it's I don't know either. I just assumed
it's some sort of. It looks like eggnog.
Avocado, but I don't know.
I don't know. Avocado.
Avocado doesn't stain though, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it is greasy, I suppose.
True.
Anyway.
Either way. Well, yeah, that's when he's truly going insane.
Yeah, before that, it's just been moments like he's snippy towards.
He's very snippy. He's very easily annoyed.
The scene where Danny goes into their apartment, he's just sitting there and like, I'm just tired. There's these moments of him like losing it basically, and then there's like, oh, that's why I'm tired. That's why I can't focus. I have to kill my family because he's crazy.
Yeah,
and that's like 50 minutes in. Almost an hour into the European version, so I think that it's plenty of build up. It's just that it's not like a gradual build up. There's like scenes, so it's like a staircase instead of a. If you're just listening to this, check out the YouTube version because you can actually see me doing hand gestures. Sorry. It's not like it's like steps. Like every scene where he's a little more insane, it's like a step towards going proper crazy instead of like a slow ascent up a hill or something. I don't know.
I have to check something with you because I just like scrolled through the movie to check timestamps.
Mm-hmm.
The first time he has a drink in the gold room is at the hour mark for me, approximately just after he wakes up from the nightmare.
Yeah, and that's about 45 minutes for me.
In between that, he has the whole meeting the lady in the green bathroom.
No, that's after.
And then the second drink.
No, but he must meet the lady after because, what?
No.
Because no, wait. Because this is the thing. He wakes up from the nightmare.
Yeah.
Then he walks in with the scratches on his neck and the ripped shirt.
Yeah.
Wendy then says, "You did this, you bastard," and runs away with him.
Yeah.
He gets angry,
Walks to the gold room
to get the drink, and tells the bartender that I might have hurt him once 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And then she comes running. Jack, Danny says there's a lady in here. We're not alone.
No.
She's in room 237. And he goes to check, makes out with the lady. Turns out she's a zombie lady. He goes back to their apartment and says, "No, I didn't see anything." That's not how it happens in your version?
Well, there's a bunch of things in between.
Well, yeah. Well, of course, because it's half an hour longer.
Yeah, she does come running after that, and then there's the green lady, and then there's the second bar scene
A little
moments later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's the same order. It's just like, are things happening in the wrong order? Is that why it's confusing?
No, I don't think he's moved around and stuff. It's just that there's more stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really excited to watch this version. Almost 2.5 hours long. Yes.
Well.
Yeah.
I don't know if it needed all of it, because most of it's
Probably
not
not.
really adding too much.
No, like if you're really gonna kill your darlings, having the information that Jack hurt Danny be told twice, not necessary. But I would probably prefer us knowing it early in the movie rather than later. I think.
I mean, both of those scenes kind of make sense because it's. I was about to say Shelley as well now. Wendy just like explaining it to the doctor, going like, "That's just something that happened."
It's from two different perspectives, so
Jack,
that's
owning up to it.
Yeah, sure.
And obviously showing like the kid was a nuisance. I had to do something.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to hurt him, but I had to do something.
Yeah.
Because he had what
little
was it, like,
fucker threw all my papers on the ground.
Yeah, he's been playing with the papers or whatever.
The best thing that's also like a little sign that he, and that's going crazy, but I can see that he's violent, because when he says little fucker, he like lifts his fist like he wants to hit the air, like. Yeah.
Also, I mean, he's sitting down to have a drink when he's apparently been sober since Danny started preschool.
Yeah. They talk about him being like a proper alcoholic in the book.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why he hurt Danny, because he was like a violent alcoholic.
That's actually because when I looked up The Shining on IMDb, there was another The Shining that came up.
Yes, there's like a mini series
show or something. Yeah.
I've seen a little bit of that.
The premise for that one is that a raging alcoholic takes a job in the mountains to get away from everything, basically. Yeah. That this is his chance to
sober up
cold turkey.
Yeah.
Which it's not really the same in the movie, because he's been sober for years.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure.
I'm guessing Danny's gotta be like 8 or 9 at the least.
I think he's 8.
Yeah, he can't be much younger.
No, and I think maybe in the book he like relapsed shortly before the book or movie starts, and that's maybe like why he took this job. I'm not sure.
Because he's not a teacher anymore, and I feel like he got fired.
That might be.
Leaving.
I don't remember that from the book, but that would make sense, because he talks about, oh, you want me shoveling driveways? Like he talks about something else, like the bad jobs he had before, between being a teacher and this. So he probably lost his job due to drinking.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
Even though they don't say it, that's what it feels like.
It's probably what happened. Yes.
Or at least being too harsh on the kids. Or
something. But speaking of what the movie really is about, nobody really knows. But but like one of the more like not as crazy ideas of what it's really about is that it is a movie about domestic abuse.
That would make sense.
Because sure, Wendy does see some ghosts or whatever. She sees the bear and the dude. She sees the guy with the cut on his head.
Yeah.
So she sees some stuff. But other than that, all of it is basically in Jack's head. i.e. him being a little crazy.
Except for the little girls who are in Danny's head, I guess.
Sure, yeah, but that's because he has to shine, and
Yeah.
it's not a movie about domestic abuse. It's a metaphor for domestic abuse, like we talk about. There's the surface level stuff and what it's really about.
Sure.
Because Wendy is obviously always trying to like save face. She's trying to stay positive, and kind of even though she does a bad job of it, tries to tiptoe around Jack because she knows what happens if she doesn't.
Yeah.
And then it ends in him like going like properly like just losing his shit and trying to kill them.
Yeah. Also, the whole
story we have heard so many times in movies and in real life about people, going insane and killing their family.
I mean, also the hotel and being like isolated is a bit of a metaphor for being in a domestic abusive.
Yeah, that you can't reach out to anyone.
Yeah, and even if you could, you don't feel like you can.
Yeah, like the one time she talks to the like ranger station or whatever it is. Yeah. And he asks, "How is everything up there?" "Oh, pretty good," but like it's not good. It hasn't been good for years. No, she's just trying to keep up appearances. Yeah, you wouldn't tell anyone because you're ashamed of it.
That makes even more sense in the longer version where you have the scene where she talks to the doctor.
Yes, and I think that is once again, I have no idea what Kubrick's idea was, but based on some of the stories from behind the scenes, that's probably the closest to what he wanted to tell a story about. Because it's quite infamous. The stories about how Stanley Kubrick treated Shelley Duvall, because he's kind of a like kook in general, or he's dead now, but he was always like on set. He was very nice to all the people working, and even though he pushed them very hard, I mean they did like hundreds of takes for some scenes. That was his thing. He just wanted to do it over and over again. It had to be right in his head. Ooh. Yeah. But he was like openly hostile towards Shelley Duvall. Like picking on her, making her wait extra long for her scenes, and even like when she fucked up a take, instead of just let's just do it again like he told everyone else, he was just like, "Oh my god, you're wasting everybody's time, you're ruining the movie." And she like had like panic attacks behind the scenes, and there's even she like started having like hair loss because she was so stressed about the whole situation. And she has said afterwards that they had like, I mean, that was like when they were around other people, and he did like not excuse his behavior, because it's not really an excuse for it, but he did try to make it up to her, in between being mean to her, if you know what I mean, which also kind of sends mixed messages. But I mean, he wanted to push her, but then it was like, we gotta take it a little easy, but then kept pushing her. And she said that like that's why her performance is so good. So she doesn't regret doing the movie, but she would never do it again. That's what she says.
No, because she's literally having real emotions then, I suppose. I just read in her mini bio on IMDb that about that when they were filming it. The most obvious example is when Kubrick shot the famous baseball bat scene with Duvall and Nicholson 127 times.
And not the hitting, just the one
for the most number of takes in any film set.
Just the part when he says, "I'm not gonna hurt you, I'm just gonna bash your head in."
Yeah, like, swinging,
having that done over 120 times. Like at that point,
like in a span of time, that's probably not more than a couple of days.
Yeah, probably.
If even.
I think it took 3 days or something to film that scene, which that should not take you more than a few hours with setups and everything, but he took 3 days to shoot that scene. So yeah. And I mean, if you wanna like you can conflate that, or you can see that as another form of like domestic abuse. They're in a working relationship, and he's abusing her mentally.
Both of those things, abusing her and then being very kind and caring, is also part of it.
Yeah, it's a manipulative thing that domestic abusers do. Yes, so
You are the love of my life, but if you don't do what I say,
I'm
I
gonna
will
kill
kill
you.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's horrible.
So that's something, because I think the movies. I don't know if I said that already. I think the movie is brilliant. I think it's a masterpiece. Like I said in the beginning, I think it's one of the best movies ever made. But after
I think I was focusing a bit too much on that. I was
trying to
expecting
figure
it
it
to be a
out.
horror movie and
Okay.
trying to figure out what all the ghosts were. So I didn't pick up on certain things at first. But
Yeah.
like thinking about it, sure,
Yeah.
yes,
And that's why
I can totally see that.
that's
That's why
why I
you
say it
rewatch the
warrants a
movie.
rewatch. Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
But after hearing those things, and you see a lot of that in the documentary, because Kubrick's wife shot like a proper feature length documentary while they were
Okay.
making the movie, and then there is a documentary made in like 2001, just after he died, or a few years after he died, called like A Life in Pictures something, where they bring that up a lot. That he was very, very harsh, especially during The Shining. He was very harsh on the actors, and then especially Shelley Duvall. And it was like, yeah, that's but he is an eccentric director, so you have to kind of deal with that when he's making movies. But then I saw a YouTube video about it. That kind of cast it in new light, and even she who did that I think it was her.
I mean, I've heard that he's a bit eccentric. Even like when he did The Clockwork Orange, apparently some of the like beat up scenes are more or less real.
Oh yeah, and I know Malcolm McDowell was not friends after that movie with Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
But let's see if I can find that. Here, Maggie Mae Fish. She's a YouTuber who made a video called "Myth of the Auteur: Stanley Kubrick versus David Lynch," where she brings up all this, that the movie's great, but it's worth that kind of treatment of the actors. Which, yeah, it really puts it into perspective. Like, the movie wouldn't have been as good, I think,
Probably
if
not.
he didn't do what he did. But at the
just
same
makes
time,
it more obvious also because there's only about 4 actors in
Yeah.
the length of the movie.
but is it worth it? Is it really worth it when she had like panic attacks and suffered? Maybe not specifically because of The Shining, but she suffered up until her death with like anxiety, and she was even on Dr. Phil some years ago and talked about it. Like she had a lot of like problems towards the end of her life, and some of it probably stemmed from this. And then like, is it?
Sure. You could get some sort of PTSD from
Yeah.
it.
And then it's like, was it worth it? I don't know. I mean, I still like the movie, but that's something to ponder while you watch it, or when you talk about the movie.
Yeah.
I'll leave a link to the video in the description of the podcast if you want to watch it. It's a good video. It's pretty long, but it's a good one. But yeah, so that's why the whole domestic abuse angle definitely feels like that's what the movie is about. And then of course,
Yes.
the surface story is it's a haunted hotel, basically.
Basically.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not real ghosts. It's the ghosts in our brains who makes us do things.
See, there's one thing though, in the long version at least, I don't know if it's in the short version,
Yeah, okay.
but makes me question that.
Okay.
Because in the end, after spoiler obviously, but
Well, it's a spoilercast, so
yeah, after you see him frozen to death in the maze or just outside
yes,
the maze.
no, that's the photograph.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in every verse.
Explain that, please.
There is no explanation for that, and that's once again I probably put in there to confuse the audience.
What's his name? The butler dude.
Delbert Grady.
Yeah, Grady. He says something about like, well, you've always been here.
You've always been here. You've always been the caretaker. Now, you've always been a caretaker and I know this because I've always been here.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Well,
is he a reincarnation of someone? Is he a I don't know, daywalker? I don't know, vampire?
No. Once again, I think that is taking it too literally.
Yeah.
Because if it is about a guy, an abusive guy, a drinker, somewhat crazy dude, who is cooped up in this hotel for 6 months with nothing but his nagging wife and his goddamn brat, son of a bitch, as he calls him.
Son.
Yeah. They will make him go slowly insane, but then
cabin fever.
Yeah. But then I think that is not a reference to him being at the hotel. I think that is a reference to this violent urge he has. Has always been there. He kept it at bay, but now he's snapped because of being stuck in the hotel.
Yeah.
And Delbert Grady is not I mean, there was a Grady there.
Obviously,
went insane.
He didn't kill his daughter and wife.
Yeah, and himself. He shot himself in the head.
Right.
But when the Grady he talks to is just that violent urge inside of himself.
Yeah.
And him
it's
being
the devil on his shoulder, basically.
Yes, exactly. And him being the caretaker is he's the one who takes care of he is the person, the caretaker.
Yeah.
The hotel is his mind, and Grady is that the devil on his shoulder, in his head.
Yeah.
That's why you have the maze. When he looks at the maze, he's really peering inside his own mind, and that's why it's so giant when he sees Wendy and Danny walk through the maze. So the empty
shot.
Yes, it's fake though. The maze was not that big, unfortunately. And that's so the hotel becomes a metaphor for his mind.
Right. Yeah. No, I've heard that before as well.
Yeah. And then him being in that photo, that's just to mess with the audience.
Yeah, I guess.
It's kind of like when Leonardo DiCaprio spins the top at the end of Inception, and then the movie cuts before we see it stop. It's just to mess with the audience. Yeah. And in that case, even Christopher Nolan has said, I don't know. We just filmed it and then we cut. He didn't have a plan. It was just to spin it.
Yeah.
It's just to mess with the audience, I think. There's not like he's not a ghost.
But see, you think though, because you have other elements that speak to the supernatural, you'd assume that all of it's supernatural. Because you have The Shining, you have the kid who talks to himself, or the old chef dude, whatever his name was,
Halloran, Dick Halloran. Yeah.
He confirms that there are other people with the shine who can speak through their minds.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
So you add a sort of fantastical element to it. Then why wouldn't ghosts be real too?
And that's where that's where Stephen King's like style of writing kind of clashes with Kubrick's style of making movies, because you read one Stephen King book. Which book had you read?
What's it called in English? Misery?
Oh yeah, Lida. Misery. Yeah, Misery. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's one that's actually really just about one thing.
Yes.
But like that's an amazing book, by the way. If anyone hasn't read that book, please read it. It is amazing, in my opinion.
I liked it. I read it for a book project, I think.
Oh, okay.
Really good. I could write really good stuff about it.
Oh yeah. But when you have a book like The Shining, you have evil spirits possessing a hotel and also people. You have a bit of like a domestic abuse situation in the book as well. The whole the family drama portion of the book.
Yeah.
With him starting to drink and being angry and all that. Then you also have the whole telepathic powers between Danny and Halloran. And you're like, what does one have to do with the other? Like, what do the evil spirit story have to do with the telepathic story?
See, in my world, that would be that he can, like, sense the ghosts, or he can speak to them or something through his telepathy.
But he never really does that, other than that he sees the ghost sometimes.
Oh,
But
okay.
Jack sees the ghost as well. The only one who doesn't is Wendy. So, well, no, she does as well towards the end.
She does it in the movie as well, yeah.
So what's the point of The Shining in the movie?
Yeah, that's what I'm questioning.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Stephen King. Something that happens a lot in his later books, like a book like the Duma Key, where have you know about the Duma Key?
I know which one it is. I think I might have bought one of them for you, or the one for you.
Well, I have it. Yeah, I don't know if you bought it. Someone bought it. Anyway, great book up until the last like 40-50 pages, because before that it's about a man who loses his arm in a construction site accident. He's a foreman on a construction site, so he gets like half his brain bashed in, and he loses an arm. And because of that, he has like a change in he becomes like a different person almost, which happens sometimes when you get brain damage. So he divorces his wife because he like in a fugue state tries to kill her or something. I don't remember. So he moves to Florida to do Maki, and to retire, and then he starts like painting, and he learns to use his phantom limb to paint. But when he paints with his phantom limb, he like paints things that hasn't happened yet and stuff. And like, yeah, he can access things in his brain to see things that hasn't happened, or he can like make things. I don't remember exactly. However, towards the end of the book, the guy with one arm, and like two friends or something that he gets along the way of the story, fight ghost crocodiles and pirates.
What?
Yeah. It just goes... it goes insane. And the whole thing that he's like accessing this other... He's not that he can see stuff, things that hasn't happened. He like accesses another dimension, and there you have ghost pirates and interdimensional crocodiles, and it's like, what the fuck is happening?
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Or like the end of Cell or Signal or whatever it's called. And the Swedish title is Signal, which is it's a zombie story.
Yeah.
About some people trying to survive a zombie apocalypse, and that there is this signal. Whenever you hear the signal, you become a zombie. All right, kind of a weird version of the zombie apocalypse, but still. However, the longer the movie goes, or movie and book, the book, there's a movie, terrible movie.
Oh, there's a movie too?
Oh yeah, terrible movie.
Jesus.
The zombies start to develop this herd mentality. They become like one mind, like Legion, like the Geth in Mass Effect. And they can like telepathically communicate. They can fly.
What?
And the leader of the zombies can talk with humans telepathically. And some of the humans, even though they don't hear the signal, start to like lose their minds. And in the end, it's
zombies are flying and
and in the end, it's like the zombies are like the regular people, and the few humans who are still alive are like become the monsters. Like, what's going on? Just write a zombie story, you fucker. And that's the problem with The Shining. There's so much stuff going on. I mean, there's a scene in The Shining book, or a page, a scene, whatever, where hedge animals, when you cut hedges into big animals, they come alive and start chasing Jack in the garden.
But
and you're like, oh, no, he's just going crazy. No, he has physical wounds from being attacked by them.
Okay, no, that does...
So
that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. There's so much. Stephen King writes. He's so good at writing. Like, his dialogue is great. His characters are great. But then he almost every book he writes, at least that I've read, he adds these strange things that makes no sense. And you're like, why is this in here? It's terrible. And that's the problem with Stephen King and his writing.
He has written a book on how to write books.
I know, I haven't read it, but I know you've read it.
I read it because I have it now. in school, if you were, had to do like a graduation project, and you had to have, what's it called? Faktalitteratur.
Uh, uh,
Fact books, basically.
yeah, academic literature.
Academic literature about the subject, and I chose obviously to try and write a book, or how to write a book. So I had to pick books about that were approved.
And it's called like Stephen King on writing or something like that.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And he does tell like very clear things about how to write your character and how to keep things. So he seems like he knows what he's doing, but when you mention stuff like that, it's like, oh, but at the end, I need to spice it up a bit. So let's just throw in something batshit crazy.
Yeah, that's what he does a lot of times.
I mean, he does mention that like throwing in things that are odd might spice it up a little bit, but I never interpreted like that crazy.
No, it goes insane in some of the books. So at least
because I can't remember Misery having anything like that.
No,
either.
Misery is very straightforward. That's why that's probably my favorite Stephen King book that I've read.
I want to think that I've read the what's it called? Djursjukogården?
Pet Cemetery. Yeah.
Pet Cemetery.
Yes, I've read Pet Cemetery as well. But that's even there kind of the movie kind of goes off the rails because you have like a zombie baby attacking people, but it's still it's pretty tame if you compare it to some of the other books he's written.
At least.
Yes, it does make sense.
Again, though, you have an Indian burial place.
You have an Indian burial place, and the movie and the book Pet Cemetery is a lot more like it feels more like a genuine like spooky story, and then it becomes kind of macabre towards the end, and it's kind of like a almost like exploitative, like, oh, you have a baby walking around with a knife killing his mother, like what?
But it's still a horror story.
Yeah, but before that, it's a story about a family having to deal with the death of their infant child.
True.
Basically, and then that turns into a zombie baby chasing them.
Guess.
It's like, what? But that's mild. That's mild
weird.
if you compare to some of his other stories, specifically Dumaki. Dumaki is insane. It's a good book, but it's insane.
Jesus.
Anyway, so you have the problem there because the Shining book ends with the hotel exploding and Jack basically fighting off the demons in his head, and that just because the movie, the book is it's so understated. It's so like it builds mood. It's a character study of Jack and I guess Wendy, and to then introduce this like almost action movie ending towards the end, it just wouldn't work. And I can see why Stanley Kubrick really took to the whole character study part of the book, and then said, "Well, fuck this ending. This is how we're gonna end it." And I mean, it does go a little nuts in the end of the movie as well. He starts running around killing people with an axe, but it's like 1% of what happens in the book,
and it makes sense to compared to what's happened in the movie previously. And the ending is very fitting as well.
Oh yes, I mean,
sure, an exploding the hotel would be kind of cool, but
it wouldn't fit because
the
movie is so
really
understated. No.
And it wouldn't have a clear or like good ending for the domestic abuse part.
No, exactly.
Because what did he do? Did he escape his pattern of being an abusive partner? No, that's
not how it works. Yeah, exactly. Instead, he properly loses his mind and dies.
Yeah.
Because he gets stuck in the maze that is his troubled mind.
Yeah.
It makes a lot more sense. And I know Stephen King did not like the movie at first. I don't know if he like changed his mind or anything, but he said that he loved the look of the movie. It's beautiful, like the scenery and all the footage and the acting. But he was like, he called it all surface, like a beautiful car without an engine. And I'm like, bruh.
Well, your engine doesn't fit in that model, so
you put a 600 horsepower engine on a moped, so
Yeah.
And also, like, you watch the movie again, Steven. There's lots under the surface if you just look at it a little more.
Maybe he's watched the wrong version.
Yeah, maybe he saw the European version. I'm sorry. Oh God. Anyway,
But getting back to the movie a little bit more.
yes.
The acting.
Oh yes, the acting. I think the acting is great. I mean,
Really?
speaking mainly about Jack Nicholson and
Shelley
Duvall. Thank you, Shelley Duvall.
Sure.
Yes.
She is really good. However, she looks kind of silly at times.
Well, that's just how she
running around.
But that's how she looks. That's how
But
she
also
is.
She looks just like the Momo meme bird thing from a couple years ago.
The Momo, the monster who kills you if you call her. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but she has a very distinct face. She's always had that.
Yes. She does look better in some of the pictures on IMDb. So I think the fashion and the hairstyle was good for her. That's not her film.
No, sure, yeah.
But I'm having a hard time seeing if she can do something else except for being more or less a scream queen.
Well, I haven't seen her a lot. She has a small part in Annie Hall where I think she's good. She plays Olive Oil in the Popeye movie where she's very different.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that's a completely different character. But I haven't seen her in anything else, so I can't really.
No, I haven't seen her in a lot, so I can't tell. But I think she does a great job.
Yeah.
In the movie, and Jack Nicholson as well. Specifically now watching it now, more critically. Like I haven't done that before. Like I said, it's been so long since I saw it. I think they both, like, I don't know if anyone was nominated, but I think they both deserved. I don't know. That's not a criteria for good acting, but I think they're amazing, both of them. They give like outstanding performances.
I'm sorry if you can hear my cat in the background.
Yeah, a little bit.
She was nominated for a Razzie Award, but that's the only acting.
I know.
Basically.
And that's, I mean, I can see why, but that's the character. Like I said,
Razzie is a negative one, right?
Yes. That's worst actress. It's a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke award, but still, yes, the character is annoying.
Yeah, she's
but
annoying.
She's supposed to be.
Yeah,
that's the point, and she does that very well. That's like saying like, oh, I don't like I don't know. I don't like Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men because he plays a really mean guy. Yeah, but he's good at doing it. He's acting well. That's the whole thing. Yes, the character's annoying, but her portrayal of that character is great.
Yeah.
And
then playing exactly what he should be playing.
Exactly.
In this movie.
And I mean, then the same thing with Jack Nicholson. He plays an insane person, so.
Yeah, he does. In my opinion, again, he does go insane too fast. I feel like he's already insane as soon as he's been in the hotel.
Yeah, well, he is.
He's alone. Yes, thank you.
He is insane from the beginning, but he's like trying to hold it back.
Not very successfully.
Not really, I guess. No, but I still like that. I like Scott McCrothers as Halloran, even though he's not really in the movie much. And then other than that, we have really just people are like in one scene.
Yeah, and I mean, Baby Danny, I don't know about him.
He's fine.
But
he's a little kid.
And considering he has to like do the whole county thing as well.
Yeah,
that was probably a bit odd to try and produce.
And considering the fact that he didn't know he was in a horror movie, for some reason, Stanley Kubrick was super protective of what's his name?
Baby Danny,
Danny Lloyd. Danny Lloyd, yeah. Because this was his
name.
Yeah, this was his first movie, and he was like 8 years old, and Kubrick. I know he had like children of his own that he, but he, maybe because he really loved children, he was super protective that he didn't see any of the violence or didn't even know he was in a horror movie. So like the scene where he comes in once again with the torn shirt, and she picks him up and says, "You bastard, you did this, you hurt him." That's not him. No, that's not him. That's a doll. Like a puppet.
Well, that's well done then.
Oh yes, I looked hard, but that's a well-made doll. And like all the scenes where like he sees the chopped up little girls, they just said, "Oh, there's something scary over there. Act."
Yeah,
he didn't see any of it. I mean, he was like, I read somewhere like he was like in his teens when he found out. Like, wait, what the fuck? I was in a horror movie.
Also, he hasn't done much more acting.
No, he did one more movie, and then of course he had a cameo in Doctor Sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But he's in like documentaries about horror things and stuff because of this. Obviously.
Yeah, of course. It doesn't say here. Where was that? The Shining.
Say what?
No, the whole thing about that he didn't know he was in a.
Yeah, but that's a classic thing when you have, at least more back in the days, when you had like younger actors, you didn't let them see the blood, basically.
Sure.
Unless they had to be bloody, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess. But it's
and I think that's still a thing, not as strict maybe because you're more what's it called? You see violence more daily now in like news and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Than you did then, I suppose.
But it's still, I mean, it feels like like the scene where he's like having a seizure and is like frothing at the mouth.
Yeah.
Dude, he must have asked him like, why am I doing this?
What's
in a drama? Why am I writing murder backwards on a door? Why am I carrying a knife?
Read when he was writing that though.
No, it's not murder. It's red rum. It's a grown-up drink. Rum. This is red rum. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he did a fine job as an actor.
Yes, he's good.
He's a bit weird, but that's also because his character is a bit weird.
Yes.
And the kid cannot speak, but I'm not sure if that's a character thing as well.
He can't speak.
I'm not supposed to tell you.
Yeah. I think that's just because he's a kid. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of weird stuff going on, and I don't know. I like it.
Appreciate the movie.
Yes,
I do.
I forgot what we were talking about.
We got a bit sidetracked, I think. No, but it's beautiful, like the way it's shot. Stanley Kubrick does shoot things in a pretty way.
Oh yes.
A lot of times,
yes.
He makes sure there are grand things, and the scenery is picked for a good reason. So like it's pretty. It's a beautiful film, but I don't know if I'd rewatch it just to rewatch it.
No.
If I want to rewatch it, it's more of a research purpose, I suppose.
Yes. And I mean, yeah, it is not. It's not one of those movies you just sit down to like watch. It's not a hangout movie.
No, and a lot of horror movies aren't, but
a lot of them are.
But a lot of them are. Like what I mean, like serious horror movies, not like
like Friday the 13th. Those you can watch whenever, but
because they're teen screams. That's a different.
You don't want it because they're bad.
Well, not Scream.
Huh?
Not Scream.
No, Scream is good. Scream is really good. I really like Scream.
But Friday the 13th, I don't know about that.
No.
This one is more of a serious horror film, but I wouldn't watch it just to watch it and enjoy it.
No, you watch it to show someone who hasn't seen it, like I did with you.
Yeah.
Or to talk about it. Yes. That's true.
I was just staring at the trivia things. One thing that really bothered me, and I can tell now that it's not actually in the script, the whole when Jack's throwing around the ball.
Oh yeah.
it irks me.
Really?
But that's just because I get these like nervous tics that he's gonna break something.
Oh, sure. Yeah, when he throws it down the hall, it's so close to hit the chandeliers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know.
You're in a place you don't own. It's a bunch of expensive furniture and lights and art. Stop! Just stop! But apparently that wasn't in the script. It only said that Jack is not working.
Yeah, so what is he supposed to do? Just stand there? No, he decided to
No,
throw
of
a
course
ball
I have to
around.
do something, but like
I think that's good. That's good improvisation.
also though, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy doesn't really make sense then because he does play with himself. Okay,
yeah, but
you know what I mean?
he I mean it's more of a like I can't writing the book is work for him.
Yeah,
and
that's
but
true,
he can't get anything done because he's constantly interrupted, even though we've seen it like 3 times, but still. Yeah. And it's him going insane.
True. And apparently he was only fed cheese sandwiches to like
keep
him in
angry.
the bad mood.
Yeah, which is like if we're gonna talk about mistreating your actors, he wasn't only mean to Shelley then.
No.
he forced Jack Nicholson to only eat cheese sandwiches. I mean, it's not on the same level, but I mean, still, it's the same principle.
Yeah.
But Jack Nicholson has said though that he had a like off shoot. He had a pretty good working relationship with Stanley Kubrick, so. Yeah, it's a strange tale of the making of.
It is a very strange tale.
Yeah,
and the movie itself is kind of strange. And the more you think about it, the more you talk about it, yeah, you can tell that Stephen King and Stanley Kubrick has very different styles and ideas.
Yeah,
which probably just added to making this movie even stranger than it could have been.
Yeah. Well,
also, I was considering if you were to remake it nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't think specifically nowadays, after 2 years of isolation, I don't think people would go that mad.
No, but he goes mad because he already is crazy. This is just what makes him snap. So, but yeah, true. You could make an adaptation where Jack Torrance is stuck in his apartment with his family.
Yeah,
I'm going insane.
In a small cramped space, that would be more likely.
Yeah,
that's why it's called cabin fever, because you're in one small enclosed space where you can't get anywhere. In this one, they're in a freaking hotel. It's a mansion. They have 500 rooms. Sure, most of them are locked, but they do have the keys.
Yeah.
They could have lived separately for months if they wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's, the hotel is more of a metaphor for his brain.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
This big empty room with just that evil Delbert Grady in there telling him to kill his family.
And that nagging lady.
Yeah.
And the annoying boy. Yeah, that makes sense why you would go insane.
And strange ghosts and no alcohol. All work and no play.
Yes.
Makes Jack wants to kill his family. That's what it is.
That's what it is,
yeah. Well, do you have anything else to add? Or should we wrap it up there?
No, I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
We'll probably, if we do watch the documentary, we'll probably think of something more to speak on the Patreon episode. So
yeah,
if you want to hear more, or probably more elaborate even things about this, check out the Patreon.
Check us out on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but see if you can find the making of The Shining. It's a good documentary about the making of. And then, well, they don't have it anymore. Netflix used to have Room 237, but you can probably find that somewhere. But more importantly, if you want to follow along in the Patreon episode, we're gonna talk about the Dr. Sleep movie.
So make sure you've watched it, or we'll spoil it for you.
Yes. And I would just quickly before we end it, you're in the process of reading Dune. Because we're recording the commentary track tomorrow. Yes. Do you think you'll be able to finish it?
I'll be up all night.
Okay. Now, I was just thinking, because when you're done with that, you should borrow the Shining book. Because I have it
in Swedish.
English.
Oh, you have it in good.
Yes,
okay.
I have most in English.
I'll read it.
Yeah, because it would be interesting to hear what you think of the book version after having seen the movie. I mean, that's the thing for me. But
actually, when we talked about watching this movie, I was like, maybe I should read the book. But then we ended up on Dune before, so I had to read Dune first. I didn't really have time to read both.
No, they're both pretty big books.
I've even stayed away from watching other movies just because Dune is a very big story.
Oh yeah. Well, that's gonna have to be it.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening or watching. Remember, if you are watching this, you can also listen to us more classic, like a classic podcast on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. You know, all the major platforms. And if you want to watch us, we're here on YouTube. Once again, check us out on Patreon for exclusive episodes, commentary tracks, Dune commentary track coming this weekend, and a lot coming in October. Won't tell too much right now, but and early access to videos, all that stuff. So please check us out there. You also help us to keep the podcast going. But that's it for today. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. But until then, have a good one. Bye.